Greetings from my bathroom. So today is April 14th and I currently am waiting on a pregnancy test. I am 11 DPO right now, so I'm 11 days past ovulation, and I have been having symptoms since like 6 DPO. I've written them all down. I've been having all kinds of stuff, like very light nausea, crazy bloating. As of right now, I'm really hungry. I've been having crazy mood swings, very emotional, a lot of cramping. Cramping started at like 8 DPO, which would have been around implantation, and have continued, and they're just there. I actually don't start my period until next Wednesday. So I'm still a little bit far out from my date, but I have all these symptoms and I figure I would take a test today just to see. I'm really nervous. As you can tell, I'm pretty sure the camera's shaking. My hands are shaking. I'm so nervous. I just feel like I'm pregnant. I could be very wrong and I could just be gearing up to have a really bad period, but I don't usually have symptoms like this early on. Maybe the day before my period I'll get cramping like this, but I don't know. I was also really tired a couple days ago, very tired. I've actually been pretty tired consistently, but there was one day I felt like I got hit by a truck. I just feel like I should test today. I didn't think I was gonna be this nervous. Okay, I'm gonna go over and look. I did not think I was gonna be this nervous. I've been so excited to take a test, so okay. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god, this is amazing! I'm so excited! I don't even know what to do right now. I'm shaking. I'm so excited. I can't wait to tell Brandon. I'm so excited. I was not expecting that. It's weird. I've been having all these symptoms, but I wasn't expecting.
That's the baby.
Oh.
Ready? 3,
2, 1.
Surprise! Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a huge life update video, which I am so excited to finally be sitting down to film with you all. It feels like it's been a lifetime since I have known about my pregnancy and I have not been able to say anything to you guys. Some of you watching, if you follow me on Instagram, you might already have known this information, but for those of you that didn't, yes, I am pregnant and expecting my first baby with my husband this coming winter, and this is huge and a huge life update that I felt needed its own video, and I'm just really excited to finally be here with you guys and telling you about it because so many of you guys are so supportive. All of you are so supportive and have just been so encouraging throughout the past year and a half or so as my channel went to lifestyle. A lot of you have said how much you just love seeing Brandon and I's marriage grow and change and all the milestones that we're hitting. And this is such a huge one. So thank you all so much for being here, first of all. If you clicked on this, thank you for being here. And yeah, you just watched the video of me finding out. You guys saw us shoot off some confetti. There's been a lot going on in the last 3 months, so I'm gonna get you all caught up to speed. So I have some notes and things because there's a lot of things that I want to get through in this video. Of course, as always, there will be timestamps below if you'd like to skip around. I know pregnancy as a topic can get a little personal and not everybody wants to hear every little detail of that. So there will be chapters and different things that we're going to talk about. But basically, I want to talk first about my first trimester and how things have been going with that. And I'm actually out of it now, but how it went, symptoms, all that good stuff. And then the second half of the video, I want to focus a little bit more on this channel, content-wise, what this means for the channel, set some records straight in regards to my beliefs regarding baby and pregnancy content, and just kind of talk all things that. So again, if you're interested more in that part of it, I would skip ahead. Otherwise, get a snack because this is probably going to be a fairly long video. So I found out, as you saw in that video, on April 14th that I was pregnant. At the time, I was very, very early pregnant. I was only about 4 weeks. I found out actually before I had even missed my period. Like I said in there, had tested at 11 days past ovulation, or DPO. I just had a feeling I was pregnant. I had had all these symptoms for days and just had a hunch something was telling me that day to test, and I honestly wasn't sure if anything would even show up that early. My app was telling me don't test yet, wait till 12, at least 12 DPO, or wait till you've missed your period, but I was so antsy and just came to terms with the fact that it could be negative that day. I would just keep testing if so, and it ended up showing up very clearly on both tests, even the little regular strip, which was not an early detection. I could see the line very clearly, so that was the most surreal moment of my life. I felt like it was an out-of-body experience. I did not even know what to do. As you saw, I became very incoherent. I paced my house for 2 hours after that video, and then prepared for Brandon to come home, and I told him that night, and he was so excited and in shock, because that's just the only way that I feel you can react to that, is just shock. And it took us a while to like come to that realization of like, we're having a baby, and for it to like hit us like, oh my gosh, it's a real baby, like I'm actually pregnant. So then of course we had our 8-week ultrasound, which was the first visit, and that's where we got to see the baby for the first time and see the little flickering heart, and we both just, it was so real at that moment. And this is our first, as you guys probably have figured out by now, if you don't usually watch me, I don't have any other kids. So this has been an experience that I've always wondered, you know, what is this going to be like to be pregnant? What's it going to be like to be a mom and stuff? And so it's really crazy to me that that is here. This time in my life is here. This is my, you know, last few months of being just me and my husband. And after that, we're going to have a little one. And it's just, I don't know, like I can't see, I'm just smiling ear to ear all the time thinking about it, because it's just really cool, and it's like that next step. We did go pretty quickly, like with our plan. We had always said we want to get married, buy a house, have a baby, in that order, and that's exactly what we did. I just never thought it was going to happen as quickly as it did. We got married in 2020, bought the house in 2021, exactly a year later we moved in from getting married, and then 2022 we're gonna have a baby. So it's happening very quickly, but that's okay. We are very excited about it. It just feels like everything has been a blur since we got married, and it's just all so fun, but overwhelming at the same time. So it's been, you know, Brandon and I have been good support systems to each other, which I really am so grateful for, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. I am due in December, right around Christmas. I'm not going to give you guys my specific due date because honestly, I've never had a baby before, but I could go early, I could go late, we don't know. So I'm just going to say Christmas time, and we hope that the baby is here by New Year's. I would hope at that point. We should have a baby well before New Year's, hopefully not after New Year's, because that would mean I'd be going pretty late. But Christmas baby. So that was crazy to find out, like, oh, we're having the baby this year, not next year. Yes, it is a boy. As you guys probably saw from the intro, we found out the gender at about 11 weeks because I had a early genetic testing done. It's a blood test, and it can detect the fetal sex that early on. I just want to talk very briefly about the fact that we're having a boy, because it's actually way more special than people might realize. This will be the first boy born on my side of the family since 1948, which is crazy. We are a family of women, and when I went into this whole thing knowing I was pregnant, I just assumed that I was gonna have a girl. We went for our first scan. The heartbeat was really, really high. I was at 176. I know it's a wives' tale, but girls are typically, they have the higher heart rate. When I told my mom, she's like, it's a girl. It's a girl. We all have girls. My mom and her sister are the only two that my grandmother had, so 2 girls. And then she has 3 daughters, my mom. And then my aunt has 2 daughters. There are no boys to be seen. Brandon has a sister. She had 2 girls first. I mean, there's just a lot of girls. There's a lot of girls in the family. And so we were pretty sure it was going to be a girl. I won't lie to you. My close friend Lindsay is also pregnant with a girl. She's a few weeks ahead of me. And she and I had identical symptoms going on, identical cravings. I was just very convinced that I was having a girl. So when we opened up that paperwork and saw that it was a boy, I was in complete disbelief, shock. I wouldn't say it was disappointment. I don't want to say it was that. I know gender disappointment is a thing. It was more just kind of a fear that came over me because I grew up with sisters. I grew up with female cousins. Boys are not in my in my realm. And so to know that I'm going to be the mom to a little boy, to me in that moment was a little scary. Like, oh my gosh, am I still going to feel comfortable? Like, am I going to know what to do? Am I going to be okay? Of course, Brandon and I talked about this, and he was like, of course you are. Like, I know this is, like, weird and different to know that we're having a boy, but you're still going to be great no matter what, and you're going to bond with our son just like you would have bonded with a daughter. And so it took me a couple, like, days to kind of realize, like, okay, I'm having a little boy, like, reset my brain. And now we're just so excited. The whole family is so excited. The gender reveal was the most fun. Everyone flipped out because they were just like, well, my side of the family was like, it's a girl. And so to see the blue confetti, they were like, no way. So that is really cool. And so, yeah, it's a little boy arriving in December. Let's get into the first trimester because I am really glad it's over. And I'm really hoping that some of the things that I experienced in the first trimester are going to subside now. I will say that I did not have it as bad as I know other people have. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I know it can be worse. I've had friends who have been in the hospital because they can't stop throwing up. My mother-in-law actually had that when she was pregnant with my sister-in-law. She told me she was in the hospital with crazy nausea, morning sickness. And I know that there are just a zillion other symptoms that I could have had that are worse than what I did have. But there were a lot of things that surprised me that I didn't know about beforehand. I didn't know they were a thing, and then something would kind of happen and I'd look it up and I'd be like, oh yeah, this is a thing. So I'm just gonna go through some of the things that I experienced. My very first symptom that I had, which went from like week 4, like right when I found out, to like week 8 roughly, and even a little bit beyond there, was cramping. Moderate cramping, I'd say, not even mild, I'd say moderate, to the point that it just felt like I was on like day 2 of my period for weeks. It would wake me up in the night. I was just so uncomfortable. Anything I did that was a little bit strenuous, and when I say that, I mean like bringing in grocery bags from the car, I would start to cramp. And it was frustrating, to say the least, because I just felt like I couldn't do anything. And the second I'd start to cramp, I'd immediately stop whatever I was doing and have to sit and rest and wait for it to go away. It is very normal, in case you're wondering, to have the cramping. My sister-in-law told me she had it too. I did not know about this. I had never heard of the cramping. I'd always heard cramping's bad. Bleeding is gonna follow. That's bad. And so when I had the cramping, I would freeze up every single time and just be like, oh my gosh, like, is everything okay? But yeah, it's normal. It's my body and my uterus and everything stretching and getting ready to basically accommodate a child in there. And it was uncomfortable. And it lasted, like I said, about a month, and then it subsided finally. I mean, I couldn't even go in the car and like go on a bumpy road without triggering the cramping. So it was a little tricky. Not what I was expecting, very unexpected. The mood swings. Those haven't gone away yet. They're still there, very much still there. They happen sporadically. They happen just out of the blue. And if you've been pregnant before and you're watching this, you know, the hormones, the mood swings are unbearable. real. I had heard of them. I had known that this was a thing. Never in my life did I ever realize how much we would be swinging. Let's put it at that. The irrational anger that I would just feel towards Brandon for no reason. Like, he would come home from work, and usually I'd be very excited. Like, I'd be home all day and then be like, yay, he's home. I went through like a whole week where he would come home and I would just be like, for no reason, just mad at him. Like, mad that he was there, annoyed that he was there. He'd like try to talk to me and be like, ugh. And it got to the point where I actually told him, like, I straight up am so mad that you're home right now, and like, I just want you to know that I know that that's very irrational and that that's usually not me. And he would have moments where he'd be like, listen, I know why you are the way you are. Like, it's okay. And he's been a trooper with the mood swings. I feel really bad, and they're hard to control. I do find that with me being kind of home alone all day and not really being in like an office environment or whatever, and just kind of being by myself, I can be grumpy by myself. And, you know, that does help. But he's been a really good support. He's been a good crutch there because he knows why I am the way I am. Some days, if he's grumpy too, we have a hard time. But for the most part, he's been really good at kind of glossing over my stuff and just being like, it's okay, honey, okay, let's go get an ice cream. I don't know. He's been really good about it. So the mood swings are insane. And I hope that they peter out. I've heard the second trimester, they're supposed to be leveling out. My hormones and stuff are supposed to level out a little bit. So fingers crossed, people, because I just, you know, I know third trimester, you get kind of antsy as well because you're kind of big pregnant at that point and uncomfortable. So I'm hoping second trimester will be a little bit of a lull in that department. Up next, exhaustion. The famous first trimester exhaustion that everyone talks about, that I was fully convinced I had avoided up until about week 10. And then I went for a full week of not being able to get out of bed until approximately 10:30 in the morning, which is not me. Usually I get up at like 8, 8:30, 9 at the latest, depending on the day. If it's like rainy out, I'll lay in bed a little longer. But for the most part, in the summer, I'm up a lot earlier than I would be in the winter. It's bright out, it's nice, it's beautiful, the birds and whatever. The birds are actually really loud and they usually wake me up. But anyway, I could not get out of bed. And I would plan a whole day the night before. I'd be like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And I would wake up the next day and I'd be completely useless. Like, just would have no motivation. I would make it a couple hours into my day and then I would just want to lay on the couch, and I just eventually surrendered to it and started to really try to get my stuff done in the morning so that by about 2 o'clock when I would crash, I could just lay on the couch and relax for a little bit and then kind of be back up for dinner time and able to, you know, talk to Brandon and stuff. It took a while for it to kick in. It took a lot longer than I thought it would. I know some people get exhaustion much earlier, but for me, it wasn't until like week 10. And it still is there. I'm a little bit better now. Allergy season hasn't helped because I tend to be quite tired during pollen season. So it's kind of a cross between those two. You know, I am allowed to take Claritin, tends to make me a little drowsy. You know, it's all just coming in at the same time. And so I'll be excited to be out of allergy season, and I'll be excited to have a little bit more energy, especially as we're coming into such beautiful summer weather. I didn't avoid it like I was hoping I would. Had some very brief insomnia at the very beginning, but nothing to write home about. I, for the most part, have been sleeping great, which is another reason why the exhaustion is so crazy, because like I sleep really well. But I did have insomnia for the first few weeks that I was pregnant. And I think it was more my brain just being wired all the time and processing the fact that I was having a baby, and wondering, like, is everything good? Because this was before my first 8-week scan, and the not knowing, I think, was keeping me up at night. I know that the insomnia probably will return come the third trimester, but for right now, I'm sleeping okay. Nausea. That started around week 9. As you guys saw in the video at the beginning of this, of me finding out, I mentioned that I was nauseous before I tested positive, and I was. And then that kind of subsided for a few weeks, and then around week 9 to about week 12, it came back. I never actually threw up. I'm very grateful for that. But smells would set me off. I'd start to gag, and then it was just a chain reaction. And then I would just have random bouts of nausea. I found that it was, for me, true to its name, and I would have it mostly in the morning. I know for some people they have it all day, every day. But for me, it was right when I would wake up, and I found that I would have like an apple and a granola bar right when I would first get up, just something small, that would suppress it beautifully. So it was very manageable. I'm very grateful for that. That was one thing I was petrified before getting pregnant, like, oh my gosh, the morning sickness. I hope I'm able to function through it. And I know my heart goes out to people that cannot, because I don't know how you do it. Never throwing up was a win for me. So now I'll talk briefly about my most prominent symptom that I had that was the most problematic for me, which was aversions to food. Roughly around week 7 or 8. Actually, I think it was actually maybe after. It was like week 8. I suddenly wanted absolutely nothing to do with any of the food that I usually love. I am a savory girl. I love pizza. I love pasta. I love anything fried, chicken, all that stuff. You guys have seen my recipes, like that's what we eat. I swear it was overnight, woke up and didn't want any of it. There was one night we went out to a pizzeria that we really love. It's wood-fired, down on the water in Hollowell, Maine. If you guys have never been there, I love that little town. Anyway, we were there, and I didn't want my pizza. I just didn't eat it. I wanted nothing to do with it, and it was so weird. Brandon was very confused. I was very confused, and that was a chain reaction into what then became about a month of aversions. And it was really, really hard. I did not want to eat anything. We had the hardest time finding things that I would want. I'd have random cravings on a whim. Like there was one day we were driving and I'm like, I really want some Burger King fries. And so we went and we got me Burger King fries. And then by the time I got the fries, I didn't want them anymore. And it was frustrating because I was hungry, but I didn't want anything. The only thing that I could really eat that I wanted was fruit or orange juice or granola bar. And I mean, yeah, can you live off that? Yeah, but is it giving me the most nutrients? Probably not. And I was hungry a lot and just having a really hard time with it. I was kind of forcing myself to eat things, and it was not going well. So I would say of all the symptoms that I had, the aversions were the worst. And they very slowly went away. There was one night I just randomly wanted Papa John's pizza. And so we got the Papa John's pizza and everything was grand. And then after that, I had spaghetti again and, could eat chicken tenders and all, my KFC, my stuff that I usually would like. I'm really painting a great picture of my diet here. But I did lose weight in the first trimester, and I asked my doctor, is this something that I should be concerned about? And she said, no, that it's very common in the first trimester because people have aversions and people have nausea, and it's generally a rough time. So she was not worried. I have my appetite back now. I eat everything again. I actually can't eat large portions anymore. I will say that. I get sick if I eat too much at once. So I eat small little meals throughout the day, but I eat the full spectrum of food again, and that's been really good. There's occasionally a moment where I don't want something, but for the most part that's over, and bless, because seriously it was rough. So let's talk about cravings. Cravings. Fruit, orange juice, like I just said, freezer pops, which that's been my biggest one, which I think is funny. Freezer pops, fruit snacks, sweet stuff. The opposite usually of what I love. Being a savory person, I'm not a sweet tooth, and man, have I wanted all the things sweet, which again is another girl trait. And my friend Lindsay is the same way. She wants like candy and sweet stuff and cookies and all that stuff. And so that has been a huge change in my diet. I have like a bunch of random things now that I've bought to satisfy the craving. And are they the healthiest? No, but I promise you that's not all I'm eating. I'm making sure to balance it out with regular meals, but I love me my freezer pops, and you're not taking them away from me. So the last part of the first trimester chat that I want to address was something that really caught me off guard that I didn't know it was a thing, and I don't know if any of you watching experienced this as well, but I think it's important to note that I experienced it. I talked to other people that I know that have experienced it, and luckily, thankfully, it did not stick around, but I went through a few days, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but at the time it felt like the longest bout of this ever. But I went through a few days of feeling really down, really depressed, feeling sad, not having interest in anything. And I've never felt that way before. This was a new feeling for me. This was something new that overcame me very quickly, actually. I woke up one day and just kind of felt down. And this happened within the first few weeks. I don't think we had been to our 8-week scan yet, so this was quite early on. I talked to Brandon about it. I told him flat out. I did not want to hide it. I didn't want to pretend like I was okay. I remember he came home one day and I was just like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't feel like me. And he was like, what do you mean? And I said, I just feel sad and I feel down and I don't want to do anything. Like, I had spent the whole day on the couch and I felt hopeless, and none of it was connected to the baby. The whole thing was connected to the pregnancy. That's not the way I wanted that to come out. But none of it was like me being sad about the baby or upset that I was pregnant. It wasn't that. It was just there. It was just there. Like the sadness, the loss of interest, all that was just there. It scared me because I thought, oh no, is this going to be my whole pregnancy? Am I going to be like this? Am I going to not have any motivation? And I looked it up and it's a thing. You hear about postpartum depression. Depression during pregnancy is also a thing. Talking to people about it, I think, was what helped me the most. Brandon was very good and supportive about it, and he was like trying really hard to help me out of it, help me kind of, first of all, understand that I was okay, that I felt like that. Like, he never made me feel like alienated for feeling that way. He was very, very supportive about it. He tried to cheer me up. He was like, do you want to go to KFC? Do you want to go get it? Like, he was very, like, just trying to bring all of my favorite things back into my life and, remind me of the things that I love and things, and that was very sweet of him. And I know that that's not necessarily something that always works, but the support alone, I think, was what helped me to come out of it. And I actually talked to my friend about it, and she had felt a very similar way early on as well and had come out of it as well, and she just told me, it gets better, it'll get better. It scared me too, and so I just wanted to address that I did feel that way. It has not returned. I have not felt this way again as of this moment in my pregnancy. I don't know if I've mentioned that. I'm 14 weeks today. By the time this goes up, I'll probably be closer to 15 weeks. But we are through the first trimester. I feel really good about the fact that we're through it. I anticipated this to be a difficult one, and like I said before, I'm really grateful that it was not as extreme as it could have been. But there were a lot of challenges in there for me. There were a lot of new experiences and new things that I encountered that I was not necessarily expecting. And so wanted to share all of that with you. But we're going to move on now to the next part of the video, the second half of the video, like I said, which is talking about the channel, because I know a lot of you here are subscribed to a lifestyle channel, and I frequently give you life updates that impact the channel, and did kind of talk about us starting a family in my January year ahead video. A lot of you were in the comments just so excited about that, and that's great. But I did get some comments addressing like the impact that would have on a channel, bringing a baby into the picture. So I felt like we needed to talk about it. I first want to start off by saying, like, I am a lifestyle channel and I watch a lot of lifestyle channels, and I think that there's a very fine line between lifestyle and family channels here on YouTube. Family channels, to me, I'm not a fan of them. I don't think that there are very many that are done well. But I think that there are a lot of lifestyle channels, or there are some, I shouldn't say a lot, there are some lifestyle channels that incorporate their families into them well. Very, very fine line there. And I think that a lot of channels start out as lifestyle, and then a baby comes into the picture, and they kind of fall down that very slippery slope into family vlogging. And that's not where we're going. I'm just going to tell you right now. This is not going to be a family channel. Absolutely not. This is my channel. I've had this channel for 10 years. It's 10 years old. It was 10 years old as of March. And that's crazy. I've had this channel since I was a freshman in college, and we are here talking about babies. This is crazy. But it's my channel. And I've been in charge of its content for a decade, and hello, dogs. I am very protective of it. I'm trying to be very deliberate about the content that I post to it now. As you guys know, like when we did the whole like revamping to lifestyle, I wanted my content to be very specific, to inspire people, show my life, and be entertaining all at the same time, and also just videos with like a purpose to them, like videos that people can watch and get something out of. Whereas before I was doing kind of trendy stuff, and I know you guys love the story times and stuff like that, and I do have those in my queue to shoot this summer. I have 2 actually that I'm literally about to shoot one very, very soon. But it wasn't, as you guys know, the main drive for me anymore. I wanted to showcase what Brandon and I have built as a couple. And so anyway, what I'm trying to get at here, I'm babbling at this point. So what I'm trying to basically get at is that this is a big life change. This is something that will affect the channel whether we want it to or not. And I think it's just something that I need to set the expectation and the boundaries for now. I got comments being like, oh my God, you're going to become a mommy vlogger. I know that it can be very helpful to people who are first-time moms and pregnant and like want to know, you know, what is it like for other first-time moms and things like that. And that's one thing, but I also feel that the family channels here on YouTube that focus their videos on their children are exploiting their children for money. Just gonna be blunt about it and say that right now. That is just my belief, and you guys might disagree, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree. Now that I'm going to have a small human in my life, I have to figure out how I'm gonna make the content that I want to make while making sure that I'm also honoring my beliefs and staying true to myself and true to this channel. So here is my plan, which may or may not work because I have obviously never been a parent before. This is my first time having a baby. I know having a baby is a lot of work. It's going to change my life in tremendous ways. But I want to put out my plan as of right now. A lot of you might be like, you're crazy, that's not going to work. But anyway, I'm just going to tell you anyway. My plan is to keep my content basically the same on this channel, with the idea that I'm now a mom, have a child, small child, but it's still my channel. So you're gonna see me still doing day in the lives, gardening, chicken stuff. You might see us go do some outings, some vlog. We do have some vlog days, so we might do some of that still. What you will never see is my child the focus of a video, ever. Will my child be featured in a video? Potentially for a little bit, a minute or whatever, because they are part of my life, and it's kind of difficult to completely omit that from my videos at times. But you will never see me putting the camera in my child's face to get views, ever. Their milestones, their embarrassing moments, things like that will never, ever, 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 ever be showcased on the internet like that. We are basically going to stay the same, just adding one to the family, and I'm going to make content as I can. Obviously, with an infant, that's going to be tricky. You know, it's going to be different, but I'm going to do the best that I can. There will obviously be adjustments and changes made to how I put out videos and when I put out videos and how I shoot them and stuff like that. And I'm not going to completely omit my son, because that's, again, not staying true to our lifestyle and our life here in Maine together. I think that there's just that fine line. There's that slippery slope there between showing your life and then exploiting your life. Let's talk about pregnancy content, because that's a little bit different. Obviously, that's me. I'm not planning on doing a ton of it. If you want more regular pregnancy updates, I would 100% follow my Instagram, because I've been posting more there about my pregnancy than I will be here. My goal with pregnancy content is that it has to fit in with whatever I usually am making. So for example, we're planning my baby shower, which is going to be this fall, early fall, late summer, and that to me fits my channel because it's event planning similar to our housewarming video. You guys really liked that. So I'm planning on making a video very similar where we do the setup and I show you guys everything we got for it and stuff like that, maybe some highlights at the end. But I feel that that fits the channel, right? Obviously the nursery, that is a renovation that we're going to be doing. We're going to be designing a nursery. It's similar to renovating our master bedroom or, repainting the living room or whatever we've done. So that will be included. So do you guys get you guys are very smart. Of course you do. It's just has to fit. It has to fit. When I do videos like day in the life or whatever, I might throw in at the end some kind of pregnancy update. But I'm not going to put it in the video to the point that you have to watch it to also watch the video. If you want to click away at the end and you're not interested in the pregnancy stuff, that is totally fine. So again, it'll be sprinkled throughout the channel, but it will not become a pregnancy content channel. If you guys have videos you specifically want to see, I do not have a problem doing that. So that is pretty much all I wanted to cover in today's video. I want to thank all of you again for being here and being along for the ride for this next step. Hopefully I've gotten my feelings across in a way that makes sense, and I hope you guys are excited for the future, excited to kind of see things evolve and change again here in our little family. It's exciting. We're gonna be a family of 3. Technically 6 if you want to count the babies, as in my fur children. Actually, now I have 4 chickens also. There's a lot of us. But it will not be all girls anymore, which is cool. We will have another boy in the household. Brandon will not be completely outnumbered anymore. I mean, there's at least going to be one more boy. So that is it. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please keep an eye out. We're going to be putting up a coop tour very soon. We just got, it's been a process. We just got the sign up above their door, and they've been in the coop now for about 3 weeks and have been doing really, really well in it and thriving, doing great. So we're going to do a coop tour very soon. Probably we'll shoot that this weekend. It's going to be really nice. We've been so busy. It's been crazy. But get excited. There's more content coming, I promise. And I will, of course, update you all with the pregnancy stuff as it comes, sparingly, of course. And follow me on Instagram if you want more updates on that and bump photos and whatever else you are looking for. It's probably over on my Instagram. So thank you all so much for watching. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and make sure you subscribe to my channel if you like lifestyle content. I live here in Maine with my husband, and we have kind of a modest little life here, and just really enjoy showing you all the things that we do, and it's really great to have you all here with us. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!